The sun hung low over the village of Umudu, casting long golden shadows across its red, dusty roads. The marketplace throbbed with life, women shouting prices, men haggling over yams, children chasing goats with bare feet and wide grins. But then she appeared. A frail figure limped into the market square from the northern road. She wore a torn wrapper that barely clung to her small frame. Her skin, though coated in dust, shimmered faintly in the light, unmistakably beautiful beneath the grime. Her hair was tangled and uncombed, hanging like forgotten vines over her face, and her eyes were the kind that made you stop, deep, quiet, like a storm waiting patiently. She carried no bag, no mat, no gourd, only herself, and the silence of someone who had walked far. People noticed her, and as quickly turned their faces away. "Abomination," muttered Mama Obi, shielding her twins. "A mad girl," hissed the pepper seller. "Who let this kind of thing enter our market?" shouted a man from his stall. Laughter broke out when a group of boys picked up stones and flung them at her. One hit her arm, but she didn't cry. She simply knelt in the middle of the market square, dust swirling around her, and whispered something to the earth. A prayer? A curse? No one knew. "Go back to the bush where you came from, spirit child," someone spat. But she didn't move. Her lips were dry. Her voice cracked when she finally spoke. "Please, just a little water." No one came forward. She walked toward Mama Obi's food store. "Mama, please, yam peels, anything. Tufiakwa, are you not ashamed, looking like a lost ghost and begging with confidence?" And then came the slap loud, echoing final. Adaeze stumbled and fell, the dust rising to embrace her again. Sitting by the edge of the marketplace under a faded canopy was Papa Mazi, the blind old beggar known for speaking in riddles. His milky eyes never saw the world, but today he turned his head toward the commotion. "She has come," he whispered, "the one the wind carries but cannot shake." Nobody paid him any mind, but Papa Mazi's hands trembled as he reached out, though blind, pointing toward her direction. "Those eyes," he whispered again. "I've seen them in my dreams, the eyes of a lion, sleeping in a lamb's skin." And just like that, the breeze in the market shifted. Chickens scattered for no reason. A pot cracked in the distance. Even the goats stopped chewing. Adaeze looked up, meeting Papa Mazi's blind eyes, as if he could see straight through her. And he smiled. The night crawled over Umudu like a heavy blanket. The market had emptied. Adaeze lay curled behind a stall, her ribs rising and falling like a beaten drum. Her lips quivered not from cold, but from hunger. It seemed like fire was lost, and over many was cold. Even the moon seemed to watch her with pity. But she did not sleep. Before dawn, she stood up, brushed the dust from her legs, and began to walk, past the sleeping goats, past the mango trees, past Papa Mazi, who was already humming in his sleep. She was headed to the only place she believed would show mercy, the royal palace. The road to the palace was long and lined with statues of past kings. Their stone eyes judged her with every step. At the massive palace gates, 2 guards leaned lazily on spears, laughing over last night's palm wine. They stopped when they saw her. Who is this? Did a witch fall from the sky?" one joked. Adaeze bowed. Her voice was soft but steady. "Please, I seek shelter. Just for today." The guards looked at each other, then burst into laughter so loud, even the palace goats brayed in reply. "This place is not a shrine, spirit girl. You belong in the gutters, not near royalty." "Better still," the other smirked. "Go marry the palace dogs. They'll treat you better than men will." Their mockery echoed off the palace walls. Suddenly, a third voice joined them, a female voice, sharp as a blade. "What's going on here?" It was Princess Amaka, clothed in gold beads and pride. Her eyes scanned Adaeze with disgust. Why hasn't this filth been chased away yet? Adaeze met her gaze quietly. Because your palace is big enough to house pride, but not kindness. That single sentence silenced the air. Princess Amaka's face darkened, but she turned with a snort. Next time, speak like that and I'll have you whipped. The guards shoved Adaeze away. She fell again into the dust. But as she stood up and walked away, her lips curled into the faintest smile. Behind her, in the shadows of the gate, stood Papa Mazi. He had followed her, and he was smiling too. By midday, the sun scorched the earth like a curse. Adaeze wandered the outskirts of Umudu, her stomach growling, her legs weak. Dust clung to her skin like shame. Every compound she passed shut their doors. Even children stopped playing to stare at her like she carried a plague. She collapsed near an abandoned well, too weak to cry, too proud to scream. That's when she heard soft footsteps. At first she braced for more stones or insults, but instead, a trembling hand touched her shoulder. She looked up to see a lame boy, no older than 10. His left leg was twisted from birth. His clothes were just as torn as hers, but his eyes held something she hadn't seen in days. Kindness. "You hungry?" he asked, voice shaky. Before she could answer, he unwrapped a small piece of roasted yam from a leaf and placed it in her hand. Then, without a word, he removed the wrapper from his waist and draped it over her shoulders. Adaeze stared at him in disbelief. "What is your name?" she asked softly. "Chijioke," he replied. "People laugh at me too." She smiled for the first time. She tore the yam in half and gave him a piece back. They ate in silence, two broken souls sharing one moment of grace. Then, Adaeze bowed her head and whispered a prayer, placing her dusty hand on his twisted leg. The wind stirred. Chijioke felt a strange heat rise through his bones, like fire and oil moving through him. "You will walk straight, Chijioke. Not today, not tomorrow, but soon." He blinked. "Who are you, really?" But Adaeze only smiled and said, "Someone watching, who deserves to rise." And as she walked away, Chijioke felt something shift beneath his feet. He didn't know it yet, but his miracle had already begun. 3 days passed. The village of Umudu stirred with rumors. "The lame boy walks! Chijioke now runs like a deer!" Mouths gossiped, elders muttered. Some said it was witchcraft. Others whispered about a strange girl in rags who prayed over him before vanishing into the forest paths. Meanwhile, Adaeze had found refuge beneath a broken shrine near the riverbank. Birds sang to her. The trees bent gently in her presence. She waited, quietly, as though listening for something no one else could hear. And then, the drums began. Not ordinary drums, the royal drum, carved from sacred Iroko wood, beaten only for proclamations from the palace. The sound echoed through every corner of Umudu. It meant one thing: the king calls for a public gathering. At the palace square, nobles gathered in flowing wrappers. The poor came too, standing at the edges like shadows. Even the beggars were forced to line up among them. Chijioke, standing tall for the first time, leaning on no one. "The king has dreamed strange dreams," the town crier shouted. "He seeks the face of one the spirits have chosen." Gasps echoed. Then a golden chariot, trimmed with cowries and lion emblems, emerged from the palace gates, and to everyone's shock, it did not stop for the nobles. It drove past the priests, past the warriors, and headed straight for the village path, straight toward Adaeze. Dust rose. Children ran after it, and in moments the chariot returned, with the girl in rags seated inside. The people murmured in confusion. "What is happening? Why her? Who sent for that spirit child?" But when the chariot gates opened and Adaeze stepped out, she no longer looked like dust. She looked like destiny. Silence fell over Umudu. as Adaeze stepped down from the royal chariot. She was no longer the girl in rags. She now wore a long white wrapper, woven with golden threads, her once matted hair braided into a royal crown. On her neck hung a pendant shaped like a lion's head, the lost emblem of the royal bloodline. The king, a weary man with sorrow in his eyes, rose from his throne as if drawn by a spirit. He stared at Adaeze for a long moment before he spoke. Who are you? Adaeze's voice rang out, calm and unwavering. I am Adaeze, daughter of Queen Ifananya, hidden from birth when a dark prophecy threatened my life. I was raised in secret by the Oracle of the East, and now I have returned, not in splendor, but in truth. The crowd gasped. Whispers flooded the square. A princess? She was royalty all along? We mocked a daughter of the crown. Princess Amaka stumbled backward, her pride crumbling. It can't be true, she cried. She's a street rat. But the king stepped forward. Tears welled in his eyes as he touched the pendant on her neck, his wife's pendant, buried with her years ago. Only my true daughter could wear this and live. He turned to the crowd. Let all Umudu bear witness. The girl you despised is your future queen. Adaeze looked over the crowd. Many dropped their faces in shame. Then she pointed. Let Chijioke come forward. The lame boy, now walking with strength, stepped out shyly. He gave when others mocked. He covered me when others beat me. From this day, he shall be my chief advisor. Cheers erupted. As for the guards who pushed her, and Amaka who spat on her, Adaeze raised a hand. Let none be punished. Let them serve. For sometimes, the ashes must sit with the crown to remember where it came from. And as the sun set over Umudu, the kingdom rejoiced. A queen had risen from the dust, and her reign would be remembered for generations.